In Washington, the dust is still settling from the historic 43-day government shutdown, but the political fallout is just beginning. Democratic lawmakers are facing difficult questions over a standoff that ended with few of their key demands being met. The party had dug in, hoping to secure an extension of pandemic-era healthcare subsidies, but ultimately, a deal was struck to reopen the government without them. Now, many Democrats are deflecting criticism by placing the blame squarely on Republicans. Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut said he was, quote, disappointed and angry that Republicans forced a false and impossible choice between health care insurance and reopening the government. He, like many of his colleagues, sidestepped questions about whether Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer could have held the line longer. The deal has exposed a growing rift within the party. The intra-party revolt was clear when 7 Democratic senators and 6 House Democrats broke ranks to join Republicans in the vote to reopen the government. This move, seen by many as a blow to Schumer's leadership, has drawn the ire of the party's progressive wing. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez criticized the outcome, stating, "We cannot enable this kind of cruelty with our cowardice." Referring to the impact the shutdown had on federal workers and families relying on food assistance. The White House, meanwhile, rejected the Democratic narrative. A spokesperson said, quote, "Democrats shut down the government and inflicted great pain on the American people because they wanted to use struggling families as leverage for their far-left agenda." While the government is funded for now, the temporary spending bill only lasts until January 30th of next year. This sets the stage for another high-stakes showdown, as the very issues that sparked the shutdown remain unresolved. Congress still needs to pass 9 of the 12 annual appropriations bills to fund the government for the full fiscal year. That's a monumental task in just over 2 months, especially with the holiday season approaching. One of the biggest hurdles will be the bill funding the Departments of Labor and Health and Human Services, which is always a political minefield. This year, it's complicated by sparring over policies from HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the central issue of the Obamacare subsidies. As part of a backroom deal, Senate Democrats were promised a separate vote on extending those subsidies, but President Trump has threatened to veto any bill that does so. This creates a potential political trap. If Democrats again refuse to fund the government without the subsidies, and a coalition of Republicans and some moderate Democrats passes a bill anyway, the internal Democratic conflict could be staggering, potentially leading to a party civil war, just as the 2026 midterm election cycle heats up. This looming budget battle is setting the political stage for those 22 midterms, where control of Congress hangs in the balance. Democrats are signaling they will double down on a message of affordability, a strategy they believe led to sweeping successes in this month's 2025 elections. The chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, Representative Susan DelBene, said the party will hold Republicans accountable for policies she claims are hurting American families. She pointed to rising costs for housing, food, and health care as a direct result of policies from the Trump administration and Republicans in Congress. Democrats see an opening, bolstered by recent polling. A new Fox News national poll shows 3/4 of voters view the economy negatively, and President Trump's approval rating has fallen to 41%, the lowest of his second term. The poll also indicated that voters are more likely to blame Trump than former President Biden for the current state of the economy. DelBene argued that Republican promises to lower costs have been a, quote, big broken promise, and that Democrats will continue to highlight the issue. Republicans, however, are preparing their own counteroffensive. The National Republican Congressional Committee Chair, Richard Hudson, says the GOP is working to fix an economy that was, quote, broken by Biden. He added that come tax season, families will see more take-home pay thanks to President Trump and House Republicans. The GOP strategy also involves linking Democratic candidates to progressive figures, such as New York City's socialist mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani. in an effort to paint the entire party as radical. Delben dismissed this tactic, saying voters are more focused on Jajic's own local candidates than the mayor of New York. With Democrats needing to flip just 3 GOP-held seats to regain the House majority, both sides are digging in for what is expected to be a contentious and expensive election cycle. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is making significant moves on immigration policy. President Trump announced on Friday that he is immediately terminating temporary protected status, or TPS, for Somali nationals living in Minnesota. In a post on Truth Social, the president cited, quote, fraudulent money laundering activity and claimed that Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of that great state. He concluded, send them back to where they came from. It's over. The TPS program allows foreign nationals to live and work legally in the U.S. due to unsafe conditions in their home country. The president's decision follows a new report from the conservative think tank, the Manhattan Institute. The report alleged that a massive fraud scheme in Minnesota, known as Feeding Our Future, which embezzled hundreds of millions in COVID-19 relief funds, was used to funnel millions of dollars to the Somali terror group al-Shabaab. The debate over immigration and state-level policies has also been cast in a tragic light following a fatal crash in Boise, Idaho. An 8-year-old girl, Maura Garrity, was killed on November 11th when she was struck by a pickup truck. The driver, Elvin Elgardo Ramos Caballero, was an illegal immigrant who had been ordered deported in 2019 after failing to appear for an immigration hearing. Despite the active ICE warrant for his removal, he was driving legally with a driver's license issued by the sanctuary state of Oregon. This incident is not isolated. It highlights a growing national safety concern, as other cases have emerged involving illegal immigrants obtaining commercial driver's licenses in sanctuary states and causing fatal accidents. One recent incident in Florida involved a driver who received his commercial license from Washington State, despite failing the test 10 times, and caused a crash that killed 3 people. In response to these events, some lawmakers are calling for change. Florida Republican Representative Byron Donalds is pushing for a federal crackdown on sanctuary state policies, arguing that they put the public at risk. He has sponsored legislation that would give the Department of Transportation authority to hold states accountable and allow the Treasury Department to withhold federal funds from states that issue such licenses.